right, welcome back to another episode of Unsinkable Theory, a show where we talk about our favorite movies and moments, and at the end we will decide if they are sinkable or unsinkable. So we just watched Godzilla King of the Monsters. What do we think?
I liked it. I thought it hit a lot of notes of what the Godzilla universe actually has in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I can agree with that, but also I don't think it was a very good movie.
Okay.
I think me and you kind of have the same opinion as to why. I'll let you say why you don't like it, and then I'll kind of reaffirm that.
What I did like, positives, Godzilla, the CGI, the monsters, the fighting, the epic battles.
You could actually see him. You could see him this movie.
They got right into showing you the monsters, which was great. But then it was just dulled down by all the human interactions and all the forced drama.
Yeah.
And forced, interactions with these people that I didn't care about at all. I was in that seat to see Godzilla fight, what is it, Rodan? Or Ghidorah?
Ghidorah.
Well, Ghidorah and Rodan.
Right. That's why I was in the seat. I didn't care about all the extra stuff. And, you have to have a little bit of... You have to have a little bit of it to push the plot forward.
Right.
I understand that because it is a movie. It needs a story and it needs a plot. I understand that. And they did that well enough. But then all the extra dramatics with this family, and it was just that dramatics, and I didn't care for it at all.
So that's
it dulled down the experience
exactly what I was
for
thinking.
me.
I wish they had just taken this movie and had as little as humans as possible. Because to me, they were just dreadful and they were just annoying and they were detracting from the story. The more Godzilla and the more monsters, the better the movie would have been. Like you said, that forced drama with a family that we're just being introduced to, because that family was not in Godzilla 2014. I think the only person...
That's what I was wondering.
That family was not in Godzilla 2014. The only person that returned was... how do you say... I can't remember what his name was.
The Japanese guy?
Sarazawa?
Yeah.
Was that his name? That was the only guy who was in the first one. And then... Yeah, I mean...
Now, if they would have made him like the person behind the Orca technology or like a subsidiary, like his daughter or something, like made the story about him and him returning, make us actually care about these characters that we're seeing for half of the movie, then I can understand it.
He was the only interesting one besides that one guy who kept making
no
those little
long-term
jokes.
story being told over these besides the story of Godzilla, which Godzilla is the main character in the movie. It's a Godzilla movie, and I feel like I saw that family more than I saw Godzilla. And that's my beef. But you can say, what? Did you dislike anything about the movie?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of people, but this is something I wanted to say for later about the Chinese influences of this movie. This movie was definitely made for Chinese audiences. Tencent, huge conglomerate, one of the biggest businesses in the world. They do video games, movies, media. Right. They put a huge investment into this movie that they actually got their name, in the credits. And normally they invest in movies.
I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah, they got their name. Their name was up there in the beginning credits, which I believe they invested in other movies before. But this is one of the first movies that I've actually seen their name and known they invested in, at the beginning of the movie. And so, just to flip things back, just about Chinese audiences are very particular. Star Wars, The Force Awakens didn't do well
because they thought they were ugly.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying everyone in this movie is beautiful, but everyone in this movie definitely looks like decent. There wasn't necessarily ugly people in this movie, and that is definitely something you can tell that's very, very wanted in it. If that makes sense. Like that one Chinese girl. Who I thought got crushed. Like they said she was deceased.
Her twin.
She had a twin. I guess
I
know they showed her.
It showed that the
picture of her
the three
family.
generations or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, wait, did she have a twin?
Monarch,
Okay.
and they were all twins.
That must have gone right over my head. I didn't...
Yeah, I'm like, did she have a twin? I don't think it ever established them as separate characters. And then
It didn't. They showed the photo and that was it.
And then she popped up. So I was like, I'm like, okay, maybe she didn't die. It said she deceased. Maybe
they were all
found her.
twins.
But if you remember Transformers, The one with the Dinobots. I don't remember what it's called. But there's that whole 40-minute part that takes part in China.
Last night or
the last...
Fallen Night or Last Night. The
Yeah,
fourth
who
one.
cares?
Yeah, whatever. There's this whole part where like this Chinese officer says, "Oh, we must call because they're in Hong Kong. We must call the central government for help." That's what's put in there to make the Chinese government look strong. You know, like it's pandering to the Chinese government to get the movie in because they only allow like 20 American movies into China a year, and like they have to heavily be regulated. Now, if you noticed, there was a lot of military people in here, but we never knew who was in command. You never heard someone really be called a general. You heard admiral. You heard colonel. There wasn't a whole lot of politics other than the beginning in that Senate hearing, and I think all that was put in there on purpose. Well,
omitted on purpose.
Was omitted on purpose to keep the movie like, oh, this isn't how the Americans have their government.
Non-political.
Do you think there's some symbolism with Ghidorah being a dragon and being in DC and it being destroyed?
No, because I think Chinese audiences like DC. That's a cool place. I mean, it's a cool set place to put things, you know? I think more or less that was it. And there was only a minor battle in DC, you know, for the most part.
Yeah, the main one was in Boston.
Was in Boston, you know? So I think maybe it was just a cool, you know, not just Chinese, but people like to see big DC, cities, like to see DC ruined and we're battling against the monster fort. I don't think that's like, I don't think there's really any symbolism there.
It just came to me. So
maybe they put like a giant baboon in DC.
I wish they had a little more Mothra. A little bit more.
Well, good news.
She did her part, but I wish
Mothra's not dead. So Mothra's super ability is that she never dies. So she will she was destroyed, and then her body, her essence will recharge into like an egg again. She'll hatch, and she'll.
Because I saw
that was the egg. At the end
saw when she got like, you know, destroyed.
Yeah.
I saw like her dust come down, and it almost looked like Godzilla had like absorbed that.
Yes.
Was that accurate?
Yes. Mothra, her abilities are like to heal people. She can redirect light and technology. I never knew that she really had a stinger, but I'm not upset about that. That's kind of cool.
See, I thought when she stung Rodin. I don't know how to say it. When she stung Rodin, that was gonna kill her for some reason. They just kind of like made it look like that.
Yeah. So she's not actually dead.
Okay.
Mothra's whole ability is that she comes back to life. Like she's always come back to life. So I think maybe that's why we didn't see Godzilla get that upset.
Right.
I felt more like he was like, yeah, thanks, Mothra, for doing that. Because it probably hurts to die.
Thanks, Boo.
I imagine it still hurts to die, you know, if you're going to come back. So Mothra really isn't dead. And then another cool one that they did say Ghidorah is from space. He's an alien.
Yeah.
I always thought that was pretty cool.
Just real quick, another part that I kind of had an issue with that they made humans such a big part of the movie is that humans didn't really have that big, not that they didn't have a big stake in the fight, but that they didn't have like a way to really help, to really fight. Besides giving the nuke and the radiation to Godzilla, they didn't really have like a way to really assist them besides that. They were just there to give us a perspective.
A narrative.
They
had people who could talk.
They even had the one scene where it's the people on the ground and you are seeing Godzilla and Ghidorah fight behind them. And that's kind of what I was a little upset about that too. And it's like, we don't need to see it from their perspective. You can just show it to us. That's what we're here to see.
I actually thought that was really cool.
But what else I was going to say is that the reason I think I didn't like this one versus like Pacific Rim was because the humans actually had a way to fight back. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't them just being weak and at the will of the gods or monsters, which I kind of understand. That's part of the story. Like they're the Titans. They're going to do with the earth what they please. But at the same time, I would have liked them to have like amped up their efforts in
I mean, that's the thing. Area. That is the story. Like, that is the Toho story.
They can't do anything.
There's not much humans can do. So we got to keep Godzilla happy to fight the monsters.
So that's what I'm saying. It should have been more about the monsters and less about the humans.
I actually thought it was cool, like, seeing the perspective from what I believe, what's her 11? Millie? Is it like
Millie Brown?
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
That's the actress's name. What was her name in the movie? I already forgot.
Emma. No, Madison.
Madison. So her name was Madison. Vera Farmiga's character was Emma.
And I thought that was cool. Like, because I thought, like, too often we just see a shot back of, like, above and two monsters fighting to actually see it on the ground. Like, if you were to see monsters in fighting view, that's how you would see them fighting. From, like, your level.
I guess so.
That's something that I liked.
To Tyler's point, though, so I think I know why you didn't like the kind of ground level shots. Because when you have shots like that, if you kind of look, anytime they have a shot like that, it's really closed in and there's not a big field of view, and so it can make it hard to see exactly what's going on. Is that kind of...
No, because I understood that they wanted to show that perspective. I just wanted to see more monster fighting, to be honest with you.
I think we got plenty, especially compared to Godzilla 2014.
There were some parts where
4 minutes of Godzilla in that movie.
Yeah.
There were some parts where I was just like bored. I was just like, can I see more monsters, please?
Any part when there was people.
I'm kind of surprised. Did you bring up the budget?
No, about $170 million to $200 million with advertising.
I'm actually surprised about how much monster we got for that much money.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, monsters are expensive to make.
I understand they probably had, for most of those scenes, they were probably just in a single room. Like, they had a set that was just a green screen so that they can shoot them doing whatever and then have the monsters in the background.
I mean...
And then they have the one set that's that ship that they were in, because they spent most of the time in that ship. So that's one set. You don't have to do...
You had to pay for those ospreys,
You don't have
those
to...
locations. I think that stuff adds
You
up.
think
It
those
adds
are
up.
actual ospreys, or do you think that was all CG?
Doubt it.
You'd be surprised what they
It's probably
make
all
CG these
CG.
days.
Most of this movie's budget was probably CG.
I could see being real ospreys. It's not that
I don't
expensive to
know.
rent them. To rent them from the government.
I'd say the two highest paid people were the Japanese man,
Ken Watanabe,
yeah, and then
And
the mom,
Vera Farmiga, yeah.
and then
Oh,
then Millie Brown next.
Yeah, I don't know what their salaries were, but yeah, those two probably had the highest of the movie. Millie might have
Millie,
close
she's-
because she does
she's
have
up top.
some recent star power.
Most definitely why she's in here.
But over time, Ken and Vera they've been in a lot of movies, a lot of good movies, so they probably have the highest salaries. And then I don't remember that guy's name.
The dad.
The dad.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's
Yeah.
name. But he probably didn't take that much.
I feel like he's a.
Since Friday Night Lights, he
I
doesn't
feel
do
like he
much.
could be cast in this trope
He's
of
generic.
like a drunk detective for the rest of his life,
So,
and he'd be perfect.
Have you ever
for that
seen
role.
Super 8?
yeah.
No.
He's playing the same character.
Yeah.
The exact same character.
I feel like he's generic white guy. I call people generic white guy.
Friday
at work.
Night Lights.
They're like, you don't remember my name? I'm like, you're generic white guy 3. And they're like, what? I'm like, there's nothing about you to remember.
Yeah. I liked the
Well, generic white guy 1, 2, and 3.
That's right. I like the sequence, like when Rodin kind of came out of the volcano or mountain.
Yeah.
I like that part. That was pretty
Oh, yeah,
cool.
that was all sweet.
From that point until the oxygen bomb went off, that was
The
whole sequence was
visuals
cool.
for the births of these monsters and the fighting and just the monsters themselves is like beautiful and amazing. I almost wish we did see it in IMAX because it was so like grand on that scale that you would see a movie in IMAX like that. But at the same time, I don't think I would go see this movie in theaters again.
How many
Probably
people?
not.
How many people do you think died in this movie? And can we blame them all on Emma?
Millions.
I don't think billions. Probably a few million. If I had
So,
to guess.
I was wondering, like, because the trailers made it seem very clear that Emma was, like, kind of evil. Or
Yeah.
in
A-
that
a
gray
bitch?
area.
A bitch?
Yeah.
And then at first, she, like, seemed like she was doing good things. And so I was like, wait a second. Why were they making her to be out? And then she turned out to be evil.
Yeah. And then they tried to like do like a
Well, not
fake-
even evil.
They
but
tried to
just
do like a fake redeem at the end, and I was like,
I was
not
like,
falling,
no,
I'm
she
not
killed
falling
people.
for that.
She
I'm
killed
not.
lots of people.
I'm not falling for
This
that
is
fake
all her
redeem.
fault.
They try to
Yeah.
do it, and they do that in movies all the time, where they have somebody who's either like straight up evil or conflicted, and then they give them this little fake redeem, and
Well,
people
I
buy
had
it.
no attachment, like, to these characters. And I knew none of their stories mattered because they weren't in the previous movie. So if they had that arc of these characters being in that previous movie, you learn about them at least a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you have them in this
That
movie.
would have
Maybe she
that would have fixed all of
Yeah.
the human character problems that I had. With the
if
film.
they could have just showed the San Francisco stuff and had us follow this family in the first one.
So what do you think?
They could have even
and Kong.
they could have even had scenes in this movie of them. Like I think they had like a really really short scene, but a couple scenes with them in San Francisco.
They had a
During
few
that
at the
fight.
beginning, like one.
But it was literally
They're
just,
just looking for the kid.
it was just
like
Andrew.
15
It was just
seconds.
Andrew dying,
Right.
and they didn't even show that.
Right. So we can talk about Kong now, I guess. Did you see Kong Skull Island?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Um,
Is he as grand and on the same scale as
he's huge.
Godzilla?
I think he's over 100 feet tall in Skull Island, and I think canonically he's not. He's like half that.
Okay.
I
I was just wondering if he was on the
They
same.
definitely scaled.
I
him
never
up.
thought
I
of
was
him
just
as a
wondering
Titan,
if he was
though.
on the same scale as Godzilla though, because
No.
I couldn't.
Godzilla would
He's gonna
wreck
be
him.
quicker. He's gonna be quicker than Godzilla.
Well, because Godzilla was larger in this movie than he was in 2014.
I think no, he's the same size, but in 2014 they massively scaled him up. I think he's like 300 plus feet.
No, I think he's bigger in this movie than
well,
he
after
was
he
in the
ate that
previous one.
nuke, yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure, but he just seemed bigger, like way bigger. But I was wondering, it's like after he went thermonuclear, was it gonna like reduce his size so he would be on like
He
a
should be like
same
hibernating
level
right now,
as
actually.
Kong
So-
to be able to fight him? Because I just feel like Godzilla would.
Well, that's something
The size of Godzilla would just.
That's something I wanted to mention.
too
They just had
immense
him
for-
fight, King Ghidorah and win, and now he's gonna go fight
Kong.
Kong. Like,
I don't think he's necessarily going to fight Kong. They might do that a little bit, but these movies always have some sort of twist.
that's true. So that's another thing was that so they said there were 17 monsters. Now we only have 16 because Ghidorah's dead. At least 16. One's Godzilla, and one is Mothra, which is on Godzilla's side, but she's gonna need time to reborn. Okay. And then so that leaves 7. And then you have the 5 monsters that actually showed up and bowed down in front of Godzilla. Rodan's typically on Godzilla's side, but for this, he wasn't at first. And so that leaves 7 other monsters potentially for this team, this team of 7 monsters to go fight another team of 7 monsters.
So
I
I
think
have
that other alpha would be Kong, and then they might have another.
So I have heights for you guys.
100% sure.
So reference King Ghidorah is 521 feet tall. Godzilla is 393 feet. And then Kong is 104 feet in Skull Island versus 25 feet in Peter Jackson's film.
Oh yeah, he was pretty
So
small.
he was scaled up 4 times.
He was fitting inside caves and stuff.
So
You said he was.
remember
how tall?
Black Jack threw the giant bottle of
104
chloroform?
feet?
104 feet.
This says that, per my source, that 2019 is 393 feet. And
Yeah.
2014 is 355 feet.
I didn't have the 2014 number, but I said the 2019 number. So yeah, he could be bigger.
It's 80 feet.
He's still 4 times
it
the
was
size
like
of Kong
39
though.
feet
So he's still
tall.
4
More.
times the size of Kong though, almost.
Oh, I think you said 314 to like 390.
No, it was
340
355
or
to
55.
393.
Oh,
He's bigger.
it's 40. That's
He's
40,
a lot
40
bigger.
feet. Let's probably just make him look better against Ghidorah.
Kong got blown up a lot, but Godzilla's still almost 4 times as tall.
I want to watch Kong Skull Island. I haven't seen it.
If you don't like the human characters in this, you're not gonna like the human stories in that.
For real?
Yeah.
Well, this was portrayed as Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
The
the
trailers
monsters bowed.
showed, some people, and the trailers showed lots of monsters, and that's what I expected. Less people, more monsters, because that was the same problem with 2014 Godzilla. It's like, where the hell's Godzilla?
I mean, I can't say that I don't want more monsters, but I was actually surprised at the amount of monsters we got.
I was satisfied with the
monsters.
monsters, yeah.
Thought it was
I
like,
mean, I would have liked more, but just knowing how movies work and how much monsters they can realistically show.
I guess they showed enough, but man,
You're right. We want more, and the story wasn't great.
Just anticlimactic.
I don't have a problem with people being in it. I have a problem with these people being in it because they didn't mean anything.
Exactly.
I honestly I don't go any particular direction with the characters in 2014 Godzilla. I mean, they were good enough for me. I actually like Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh, okay.
The Maximoff twins.
Yeah. All right, let's
I like
roll
them,
on
so.
to some final comments before a verdict. Kenny?
I liked how Rodan has some personality. After he got stabbed and he was bowing, he didn't really want to bow to Godzilla.
He got
Godzilla
humbled.
looked at him and
He got
was
humbled.
Like, he was like, okay, I'll bow, which I kind of like that. I'm interested to see if, the only reason we saw these monsters is because that's all they wanted to make. It's all the money they had to make these monsters. Because everyone we saw in the newscast or everyone that showed up. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, there's still 7 Titans unaccounted for.
I thought I saw in that little, they were kind of looking at some like ancient history, some photos from history. It kind of looked like there was a giant fish too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember. Like when they were in the sub, they showed a fish. I thought maybe a fish was going to attack them when they got sucked into the vortex that took them to. I'm assuming it was Atlantis. Too. I don't know why no one didn't call it Atlantis.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird,
I
but
was
then again,
wondering about that.
Maybe that's a weird Chinese thing that we don't know about.
Or maybe it's something that they want to hold on to for Kong.
The thing is, they blew up that city.
Yeah, they nuked the fucking shit
that
out.
City got the fuck nuked out.
That doesn't mean anything. Kong Skull Island takes place in the 1970s.
Yeah, I know.
So
maybe he's grown since then.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's true.
If he does grow,
I don't think he needs to be as big to put up a relatively good fight to Godzilla, though.
I think Godzilla's durability is just leaps and bounds above Kong's. Yeah, Kong's just a big ape. He's got no.
That's ape smart.
Like he has no, atomic powers or anything like that.
He got thumbs.
Godzilla got thumbs, don't he?
All right, let's roll on to this final.
All right, I'll go first. It's a toughie for me. We really need that little section that's between Taking on Water and Unsinkable.
Yeah,
we need that.
Brainstorm.
So right now I'm gonna go with.
You hit an iceberg.
I'm gonna go with an untitled middle ground where it's not.
There's an iceberg on the horizon.
There's an iceberg on the horizon.
But I mean, that means you got time to fix it. The movie's already out.
Yeah. They could fix it with Kong Skull Island.
So I'm not giving it an Unsinkable, but I'm also not giving it a Taking on Water. I think everything that they made a checklist for, I assume, everyone has like an imaginary checklist. Everything they set out to do, I think they accomplished. Obviously, you heard me and Tyler don't like the human story. That's okay. I can get over that. I think they showed plenty of monsters. They showed plenty of fighting. And at the end, they still have good potential for setup for future movies. So whatever that untitled little middle ground will be, that's what I'm going to go with.
I'm definitely going to go with Taking on Water. I don't think this movie is completely sinkable or unsinkable. The main point that I made the entire time is this human story was just awful. There was no attachment to the characters, and some of these moments were laughable at best. I found myself giggling to them in the theater and yawning at times too. And so I want to leave it at that. The monsters were great. Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, amazing. Mothra, the visuals, amazing. But other than that, there wasn't much depth to this movie. Taking on Water.
I want to go with Unsinkable. I can admit the human story sucked, but for me, seeing the kaiju monsters portrayed, what I felt, at least from my Western knowledge of them, pretty accurately.
Pretty well.
Pretty accurately. Mothra being, under an ancient temple, generally she's like, she has her own island and ancient peoples worship her. Godzilla having, it looked like the ancient city built him a platform that I guess it's full of radiation for him to regenerate. That was cool. Ghidorah coming from space, being able to regenerate, just saying that he's like completely alien, which I don't know how they didn't figure out he was an alien before. If they had his DNA, they're like, oh yeah, this doesn't match anything here. Rodan coming out of the volcano, which there wasn't a whole lot with Rodan. Rodan's generally a species that lives in volcanoes like that.
Okay.
And then we didn't really learn anything else with the other. But I really liked that part. I felt like, that goes back to the original Toho source material. And for me, that was like the most important part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that part.
Okay.
So, Unsinkable.
So, I think this is the first time that we've had a completely split ticket. Yeah. I don't think
I
don't
feel
think
like
any of
that's
us.
fair
Yeah.
to the movie in general, though. There's going to be people that really liked it, and there's going to be people that didn't like it that much, and it's going to stay in that 60-70% critic score, I'm going to guess.
And then I guess my last part is that this probably is the best portrayal of maybe I'm going to say a best portrayal of Godzilla or like a Japanese monsters in American cinema, but it might be one of the best portrayals of a Japanese property into American
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Everyone's always complaining about how an anime or kind of a story that's Japanese created and made in America, isn't that good. I feel like maybe this probably is the best one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are all fair.
Because
Those are fair takes.
Just think about Japanese origin stuff, and then
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I think we're all set then.
Split ticket.
Split ticket. All right. See you guys later.
yeah.